kindergarten teacher. Was walking around her classroom and all the kids are drawing, and there's this one girl, she's really intent on what she's doing. And teacher goes over and goes, "So what are you drawing there?" And the girl goes, "I'm drawing God." And the teacher goes, "Honey, nobody knows what God looks like." And without missing a beat, the kid goes, "They will in a minute." Okay. Break out of prison. I had a dream a couple of decades ago. I was flying out in the universe. And it wasn't just like around the earth. I was out flying through galaxies. I was having this great time, and there were other people with me, and we were flying, and we're having this great time. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this platform appears. And so I go land on the platform. And then before I knew it, walls came up, and a ceiling came over, and I was trapped. And then I woke up. And I was like, whoa. Thank God that was a dream, because I was trapped. And then I realized I'm actually feeling pretty trapped in my own life at that time. And I started thinking over time how just because I think I'm awake doesn't make this any less of a dream. You know, I hear people say all the time, "Yeah, but if you walk in front of a bus and you get hit by that bus, or you get shot, or you get hurt, it hurts," and all this stuff. Well, I don't know about you, but I've had dreams that felt really real, where I was feeling pain. I was feeling pain so much that when I woke up, I still felt the pain. Have you ever experienced that? Okay. So I think it's really crazy to think that if we got hit by a bus now, and this body, we wouldn't all of a sudden wake up and go, in fact, that's what near-death experience people feel. You know, they die and then they awake. This is a dream too. And yet there are people who are so sure about this being real, as we think what's really real is when we're dreaming it, when we're sleeping. Now, one thing that I've worked on through the decades is something called lucid dreaming. And that's when you're asleep and you're dreaming and you actually remember you're dreaming. And I've gotten to the point where I can't do it all the time, but I can do it sometimes, that when I'm dreaming, I remember I'm dreaming. And then I get to do whatever I want in a dream. Now, mostly what I like to do is fly. Fly around the earth, fly around, go visit people, do all kinds of stuff. In my lucid dreams, I have the best time and go see the most beautiful places. And what I've started realizing more and more is that that's what I can do here too, is do a lucid dream. And most of the people who we were looking at last week, that's what they've realized too. Because with all the pain and the hurt and the suffering that people go through in this world, and these people stand in empathy and sensitivity and compassion for those people, yet recognize that the hurt and suffering is because people are still dreaming, that they don't actually know they're dreaming. So we got this thing going on in Charlottesville, right? Where you have these neo-Nazis, these racists, who are so deep in their nightmare that they believe the only way for life to work out for them is if they eradicate other races. As if the only race on the planet is the white supremacists. That's the only way they get to be happy. Now, that is an incredibly deep nightmare that those people are feeling. And the thing about it is what they want most in the world is for us to buy into their pain and nightmare. That's what they want most in the world. Now, there's this other group called Antifa. This group started during during the anti-fascist phase in Italy during World War II, and is now a growing organization in our country. And what they believe is the way to answer Nazis is with violence. And this is a growing organization gathering more and more steam. And so our president, who I rarely agree with, wasn't far off when he said there was this other side in Charlottesville, because Antifa was there. And they were the ones that went up against the Nazis in violence. And so what grew out of that, because what we know in this teaching is that what we focus on, we give power to, is we actually gave power to the very thing we're trying to open to light. But when we remember that what's really going on here is that these people are stuck in a nightmare of their own making, then we can have empathy for that. We can have compassion for that. These people on both sides of this coin are hurting. Gandhi never raised a hand to anyone and changed a nation. The Dalai Lama, all he ever preaches is kindness, and he's been exiled from his country. Desmond Tutu spoke about doing good in the little ways and how enough good is done, it overwhelms and changes the world. And he was tortured. These are people who have awakened, who understand that whatever happens here is a dream. And so let's do the best of bringing in love. This land is a magical place of infinite possibility. This place we have come to is a wonderland where anything is possible. Now, some of us would like to limit some of that, and Ernest Holmes has a statement about that, of course. The reason man is limited is that he has not allowed the divine within him to more completely express. Man's divine individuality compels infinity to appear in his experience as duality because he has believed in duality. Now, there's this other group called the Southern Poverty Law Center's Intelligence Project that made a statement that we're against violence straight up. This intelligence project tracks hate groups. If you want to protest racists and anti-Semites, it needs to be peacefully and hopefully somewhere away from where those guys are rallying. Now, that's somebody who's beginning to see the true light of what's possible in an awakened state. All right, so what I want you all to do now is close your eyes and take a moment to remember a time when you felt more alive and in love with life and saw its beauty. Take a moment to really experience what that felt like. Let it in fully. You all got that? You all feel what that feels like? Now go to a time when you were upset about either your health, your relationship, or your finances. And feel what that feels like. You feel the difference? Open your eyes. That's what we're talking about, the difference between asleep, caught in the nightmare, and awake. Or at least to the point of lucid dreaming. Because lucid dreaming is important. It may not be fully awake, but at least you know you're dreaming, so you're deeper in a sense of choice. Every one of those folks we saw last week were deep in their sense of personal responsibility for how they experienced life, and yet had tremendous compassion for those who could not feel the way they did. There's this great Zen story of a monk sitting in prayer, and this family comes rushing in on him with this baby and this young girl. And they're accusing this guy. The young girl accused this guy of being the father. And he goes, "Is that so?" And they said, "Because you're the father, you got to take care of the baby." And he goes, "Is that so?" And so they give him the baby and they leave. And he takes good care of this baby for a couple of years. And then they come back a couple of years later and go, "Oh, we're really sorry. We now know who the real father is. We're going to take the baby back." And he goes, "Is that so?" And they take the baby back. That's a man who's awake, just going along with the dream. And yet is sensitive to the nightmare that those people were experiencing. Man named Rubin, I want to make sure I get his name right, because I love this guy. Rubin Hurricane Carter spent almost 20 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. And 2 years before he ever learned that he might be released, he put out a statement saying, "I have never felt freer in my life." He was still in prison. He didn't know he was going to get paroled or let go because he was going to be found innocent. There's a man who woke up, and through waking up found choice. And then because we know what we focus on gives power to, creates, 2 years later he was released. So I ask you, what do you want to focus on? I challenge you to say, what do you want to focus on in the midst of what is going on that one reporter for the New York Times called this morning tribal warfare? Right? Because, he was right. I mean, I got it when he said it, because there's something so primal about people taking sides. It's some of our greatest stories of our time are built on this tribal, taking sides kind of things. The da-da-da-da-da, right? Jets and Sharks. Or we got Romeo and Juliet, the Capulets and the Montagues. And now we have the Democrats and the Republicans. We got the far left and the far right. It's no different. It's the same nightmare playing over and over and over in all the different ways it does. And I challenge you to wake up. In fact, I challenge you to do something more than wake up. I challenge you to look around and be there for your loved ones, to support them in waking up. We had a wild thing happen here at the center. Don comes to me the other day and goes, "There's a strange-looking package sitting next to the building outside. Maybe you want to come and take a look." So I go running out there, and I take a look at this box, and I'm like, "Yep, we're calling the police." So I called the police, and before I knew it, they cordoned off the entire, a full several block radius, and we had helicopters, and the bomb squad came to take it out. And so I'm standing there, and I'm in a position where I can see very clearly what's going on, because I take a lot of ownership for this place. And I watch the robot come and pick up the box and slam it against the building. Several times, picked it up, dropped it. They weren't trying to disarm this thing. They were trying to blow it up next to our church. And when they couldn't get it by bouncing it, they shot it. Boom! I was appalled. I was really upset. So I get home, and I'm going, and after the whole thing's over, and it turned out to be somebody's dirty laundry, I go home, and I'm sitting there, and I'm feeling the aftermath of this in terms of what if it was a bomb and my church had blown up and it was now gone. And I was really deep in that nightmare, and my lovely wife goes, "What do you mean? Do you actually think people wouldn't come out of the woodwork to support and build an entire new place, and we'd have an even better center if that were to happen?" It was her way of saying, "Wake up." I was like, "Oh, yeah, right. What am I getting all up about? Wake up." It's really great to have somebody around who can say that. And so what I want you to do now is look around the room at all the people here who are to support you, who can support you. Really, look around the room. In fact, say next to the person next to you, "Wake up." Okay, now treat them like a loved one. And so when you say wake up, do it gently. Do it lovingly. Because once we can learn to do that for each other, then we can learn to do that for anyone in the world. That's what those people learned. Okay, you can put up that slide now. Every one of these folks learned the lesson that once you understand what it is to wake up yourself, then what it is to support lovingly support others in waking up, then you can lovingly support the world in waking up in whatever small way is yours to do. This is what's possible here for us. This is a magical place. These people knew it. Look at their faces. They don't look like the struggles they've been through, do they? This is what's really possible when we remember what a magical place we live in and the infinite possibilities that are here for us. Dr. Holmes says, "How much life can any of us experience? As much as we can embody." So I say to you, how much of an awakeful state can you experience? As much as you're willing to remember that this is the dream. Nobody here actually dies. Nobody here actually suffers. But for those who think that it's real, we can be the standard bearers to remind them gently and lovingly that what they're experiencing is a nightmare. And what's real is that this is Wonderland. This is the land of infinite possibilities. And the more we can remember that, the more love rules the land. This isn't a fairy tale, folks. This is the reality of where we truly live. This is the reality of what it is we teach here. That anything is possible. Anything. That's what allows for people to have those dreams, those nightmares. You know, they get to have those nightmares. They get to have them because we live in infinite possibility. It's whether we want to buy into it or not. This is the land of magic. The deeper we remember that, the deeper we wake up, the deeper we pull things out of nothing, the deeper our lives become special inside ourselves, the more good we can do for others. I love Desmond Tutu's line. Do a little good wherever you can. And enough good gets done, it overwhelms the world. And love rules the land. Thank you. Okay, take out what you're going to give. Hold it in your hand. Unwrinkle it. Hold it in your hand. Because this is God. Just like everything else, this is God. And what we give in that God energy, we receive multiplied abundantly. It's really important to get the power of the giving and how it creates a circulation that comes back to you. Remember, we live in infinite possibilities. So when you're giving this, remind yourself that you get to receive it 1,000-fold, 1,000,000-fold. Whatever you're giving, you get to create how that energy serves the world and serves yourself. So repeat our affirmation after me. God is the source of all supply. Money is God in action. What we give, we receive multiplied abundantly. All that God is, I am.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu es l'image de Dieu.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu es l'image de l'amour.
You are a